Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Welcome to Construct Your Life, everybody. We have the most famous person I've ever had on the podcast, and my favorite person who I never get to talk to anymore, Miss Julie Holly.
Hey,
How are you?
We text.
How are you?
My day just went like through the roof. It was already a great day, but it just became like an insanely awesome day because I'm here with you.
So before this, I just interviewed Anthony, and I said something to him that I think can apply to you too. You know, I watched your career, right? I watched you, be a mom, do real estate. And then all of a sudden, like the last year, you just went into some other planet and you're doing all these deals and things going crazy. I told him that intentionality is a scary thing when you get dialed in with the right people, the right team, and you can watch it grow. Is that what happened to you? Was it just the timing? Like, did you finally find the right partners? Like, things just went crazy for your business.
Intentionality is so key. And another word for that might be clarity. Like, I became super clear as to who I am, what I'm after, what I'm pursuing. And a lot of that clarity honestly came when you and Cassie came and visited and escaped the Tahoe fires. I mean, hey, you branded the conscious investor as we were hiking and literally on a hike. I mean, and I am going to just like put that out there is like when we say yes, our best yes. And you had your amazing post, and it really got me into reflecting about when we make a change in life, the ripple effect it has on those around us that we don't inadvertently, like we don't even know about most of them, but your path, and becoming sober and like high fives. I'm like, just so like, you're awesome. And just like everything that you've accomplished and our friendship and just like being around you and my willingness to be like, and my family's willingness to be like, hey, hospitality, sure, come visit us. Right. All of those yeses led us into this conversation about what am I? And that really helped. That was the beginning of it right there. Honestly, Austin, well,
what's interesting about branding is like when somebody tells you like, you get a message from time to time, they're like, you're innately your brand, like you through and through, like you are your brand. And I think, if you look at it from a context of like, well, where I think it's trouble for people like you and I and Anthony who love so many different things, like what's something that, like what I've learned to do is I tell people about 10% of what I actually do, because if they heard the 90%, they would be exhausted. Like my dad, when I sit down with my dad, he's like, dude, you're exhausting me just talking to me about what you have going on. And still, I don't feel like I'm doing enough. And so I've learned over the years to just, keep some for myself, keep some for myself. And like, when I look at your brand and the conscious investor, like what it says to me is like, I'm a person who cares about people. I'm a person who cares about partnerships, and I'm a person who cares about my investors. Like what better to encapsulate, what you care about, right, from a value prop, than that brand per se, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And to think the journey to get there, the path to get to last year started in 2020. And I launched my podcast initially, like as this whole SEO rich, borrowed a tagline from somebody that I heard at a conference, asked permission to, so it's like, ask me how I know, sub, like bullet, multifamily stories of struggle to success. And it was well intended, but it always had, for like over 330 episodes now, Monday mindset, Thursdays with an investor. So I was always like seeking to create this balance within the investment community of, we can't just be investors. We can't just be chasing after money. We are going to end up empty, unfulfilled, dissatisfied, and we're not going to contribute our greater good to the world. And so I was striving for this, and I was doing it. But then when I, rebranded into the conscious investor, and even more recently, that is actually becoming like the entire brand. Three Keys Investments is now like going like into the little like, you're going to have to click to get there, because the conscious investor is everything. It's like, if you don't have your personal freedom, you have financial freedom. Super. Lots of people. I mean, there are a lot of people that have a lot of money that are really unhappy and dissatisfied. But when you gain your personal freedom, that's the pinnacle. That's when you've arrived. And I've become so crystal clear on that it now has really emphasized the whole brand, and it's drawing and attracting like-minded people. It's kind of like when you see somebody wearing, a Patagonia jacket, you kind of know like, oh, a certain person chooses a Patagonia jacket. And so
No.
So the conscious investor is kind of like the Patagonia.
We talk about this all the time with like Washington and Colorado,
yes.
Like those people, no matter if they're in the city or at Walmart, they're always ready for a hike.
Always.
From dressed up, prepared, got the car, water
you got your
bottles
vest
in the car.
on.
Yeah. So you rebrand, and then you kind of have some partnerships kind of disappear. Where did you find these new partners that you're teamed up with right now?
Yeah, actually, they are not new. They are partners that people I have wanted to partner with and collaborate with, because I only like, one of our pillars is like, we only partner into deals where we bring investors. We're only partnering into deals where we have at least a year's relationship with our other partners. And so I'm always kind of like eyeballing and like, okay, well, do I think that person would be a good partner? Like, let me break bread with them. Let me go meet them at a conference. Let me, hop on multiple calls. Let me, like, there are just these like layers where I'm trying to be very conscientious about those partnerships. So last year was just beautiful because people I wanted to partner with had opportunities for partnerships, and they're people that are further ahead in their investing journeys than I am. And I love that. I want to learn. I'm always into continuously learning and building better practices for my investment business. And so to be able to partner with them was just like pinch me, especially at the end of the year.
Well, here's the problem though. And this is what I hear from all my clients. Well, why would they want to partner with me? What can I bring to the table? Did you have those moments? Did you have those internal conversations?
Always. Yeah. But you know what I have learned in the 3 unique, like unicorn partnerships that I went into last year alone is, and someone gave me words for this, maybe even just 2 months ago, is that I do bring a lot to the table. Aside from like, I bring knowledge and experience, and I bring all of that. But the number one thing that I bring to the table is peak energy.
Yes.
And it's
my God, Julie, you just opened up a cornucopia for the rest of the call. Look, I was sick 6 months ago, give or take. And I was down for I was still working, but I was down for 2 weeks. And I realized that everybody in the ownership group was in a bad mood.
Oh my gosh.
Because I was in a bad mood and I was tired. And I thought to myself in that moment, okay, look, I know people, I can connect people, I can recruit, I can put things together. But if I'm not taking care of myself, my energy, if I'm not protecting that, then I'm not doing what's necessary for the company to succeed. And that is my number one pillar now, is bringing the energy, bringing the fun, bringing the excitement.
Isn't that it's so it's intangible, and so I've dismissed it because everyone else is like, hey, I'm great at this and that and the other thing, and they're very tangible and you can see it and touch it and be like, oh cool, there's that spreadsheet, oh cool, X, Y, or Z. But peak energy isn't something that you can like, hey, here's a spreadsheet, here are the results, but it is something that everybody feels. And as I've been working on a 184 unit ground up development luxury in North Carolina, that was all out of order, wasn't it? The words. But anyhow, but as I'm working on this development project, I mean, you hit hiccup, like you have like bumps in the road in development, and that's just development. Okay. But as we're going through those, I'm like the one that finds that positive and finds that part. And it's like lifts the mood and just kind of sets like I mean, they have more experience in the development space than I do, but I really do elevate the tone of the conversation. And that's priceless, because when we're in our downstairs brain, we make really dumb decisions and we really mistreat people, and it just doesn't work out.
One of the things I've had to learn, though, is when I see something, instead of assuming somebody else is going to do it, I just have to speak up. And like, even my dad, who was on a call with all my partners, like, oh, like, you're the one like leading, like, it's all you. Like, and so what's crazy is I found something that I love more than life itself. The only person I love more is Cassie, but there's something I love more than life itself. And I never thought in my entire life it would be that. And it's recruiting employees. I am a savage. Like, I have hired 6 people in the last 5 weeks when they said there's nobody out there in the trades. And like, these 3 guys text me and they're like, you might be the best boss we've ever had. And we haven't even met yet. We haven't even started at the company. And I'm already in love. And I'm like, I love this. And so now we're looking at buying a recruiting company, because I just think it's the coolest thing in the world, because a job is not just a job. It affects the family. It affects their mood. It affects what they do every day. Like, and I'm like, oh my God, this is like purpose at scale. Like, boom, found it, so it's like crazy.
Dang. I'm just putting the blinders on, because I think that you and I jive in that same way. And
yes.
we both love
be so great at it.
people. I would have so much fun.
Dude, it's so nuts.
Let's buy this. Let's joint venture on this company.
Well, they don't. No, you're in. You're already in. You're on the board of advisors. So what's crazy is that innately, it's the thing I hate more than life itself too, because it's hard. It's a lot of work. But man, when they, like, when they're okay, best quote ever. The only way to truly create something amazing and at scale is to have a vision big enough for other people to fit inside of it.
Oh, yeah. I love the quote.
90% of people build a vision and they care about what they're getting out of it, what money they're making, what car they're doing. Look, I'm about to say something kind of as a joke, but kind of serious. I realized that I'm just going to be broke for like the next 10 years. And then we're going to sell it for like a couple bill, and then I'll be rich. Like, that's, but none of that matters, right? It doesn't matter. And I think that's what's interesting. Like, the moment we buy this company in 3 weeks, I become a millionaire on paper. Who cares? Like, is my drive going to go down? Am I not going to show up to work the next day? No. And yet all the people, that's what they're seeking. And it's like, it doesn't mean anything. It means nothing, like nothing. And what's great is that what's interesting to me is like I had a like, sometimes in the morning when I'm by myself, like, pre-workout kicks in, I get a little crazy. And so like I was listening to like Whitney Houston and like all sorts of stuff. And I was thinking to myself, like, when I retire, like, my number one goal is I'm going to host a daily dance workout group at the local YMCA. And like, that is going to be like the number one class to get into. And it's like, so you think about it, right? I'm using that as a context to say, what are the things that you would do if you had all the money in the world and you would still do it anyway?
Oh, I live in that zone.
Go do those things.
Okay. I got to drop like 5 things real fast. We'll just like real fast. Okay. 1, I agree that people have these visions that are too big, but I also, it's not contradictory. It's complementary. I also think it goes like the other way, where people's visions are too small because they're inhibited by fear. So I just have to put that on the table.
Well, and the problem is and this is a whole nother vein of thought, is I don't think it's fear. I think it's fear of success, not failure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, people don't even know how to deal with like all of their internalness and to like open
What
up
if
the
my life
gateway, the
was great
floodgate.
and I was happy and my kids were smiling and we had food to
Mhm.
eat? Like, when's the shoe
Yep.
going to drop?
And what would happen? Oh, wait, what would my friends think of me? What would this, you and I have both like gone through different shifts within our spheres and stuff, such over our journeys. It's like, yeah, I guess I just, people don't want to go on that journey with me. That's fine. I'm going on this journey. I'm on this path and this is where I'm headed because I'm doing what I love. So I just released a podcast episode this week for mindset, and it was literally like, I don't work and you shouldn't either.
Mm.
Okay. And then they're like,
Mm.
I've been having this conversation, and one of my brothers was like, but you do work. And I'm like, well, I mean, like, I do these tasks, but I'm doing this for a greater, like, there is something driving everything that I do that is so much bigger than me. And it brings me joy, fulfillment, satisfaction. And sure, there are some tasks that I have to do that aren't my favorite, but I see the bigger picture of what they're feeding into. And so it's not like, you want to rip your face off type stuff. It's like, no, okay, I just need to get this done because it's going to lead into this next part, which is really important. And so I don't work. I get to live in the zone of genius. I get to live in the zone of contribution. And I thought and I believed for years that work had to be hard, work had to be tedious, work had to be, something that you hated your boss. I never did. But, it's like there are all the stereotypes that we have surrounding how we should feel about work, what our perception should be of work. And it's a bunch of BS. It's like, you should love what you do. And if you don't love what you do, you need to stop right now and change gears and get into what you love, because you will be rewarded. You will probably end up being compensated financially far more, but you will definitely be rewarded in the satisfaction level. And a satisfied life in a fulfilled life is like absolutely priceless.
Well, I had a client, he went for 10 days, got engaged. His wife's they live in Austin. His wife is from Portugal. She lives here. He's in real estate. He has a job that he works for, remotely, and they got engaged. And her dad moved over there, and so he's like, man, he's like, I haven't, never been out of the country. He was like, it was really crazy. He was like, it's fun. He's like, people actually do slow down, and so I was like, hey man, it sounds great. I'm like, you should move there, like in 2 months. And he's like, he goes, what are you talking about? And I go, okay, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to sit here and tell me all the reasons you can't. I'm going to shoot them down left and right, and you're not going to have a leg to stand on. And I was like, text your wife right now and say, we're moving to Portugal in 6 months. And she like sends back like, holy crap, is that for real? They want to have a baby over there. And he's like, this is really messing with me because I actually have no good reason why I can't. And I was like, yeah, you work remotely and it doesn't matter. And you have rental properties that you're going to live on already. And he was like, well, I don't do stuff like this. And I'm like, okay, so my thesis is very simple. When you get to 80 years old, are you going to say to yourself, man, I spent a year in Portugal and I really hated that? No, you're not. So you got to go do it. And I was like, then you get to reinvent yourself. I said, what you're doing now in your business, in this real estate business, is not working. He knows it. He admitted it. He goes, what I've done, I got over leveraged. I'm getting out of it. The thesis I had was not working. I was like, dude, you're like 30. Like, go for a year. Like, experience something you've never experienced before. You still get to make crazy money working remotely. And I was like, and is your fiance going to be happy as a clam? And I was like, and her dad's getting into real estate in Portugal. I was like, maybe you're just a real estate investor in Portugal. I was like, how many more signs do you need? And so he texted me after he spoke to his wife that night. He's like, she's with it. I think we're going in June. And I'm like, yes. I was like, and it's like, and it's the same thing I brought to him was, how many people Cassie and I meet at truck stops or restaurants or whatever. And they're like, oh my God, I've thought about it my whole life that I want to go RVing. And I'm like, okay, and do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Do it.
so weird how we put the obstacles, and like you and I both have the opportunity, like as we're coaching people, like to watch clients like shift their identity and to, like unwire all these like crazy fears that were hardwired and woven into us, and these identities that people have like slapped upon us that we just somehow left there. Is like, it's so rewarding watching people pull those off, peel back the onion, and like discover who they really are and their greater potential. And the capacity is like the capacity for transformation, the capacity to say yes, almost like yes to hospitality, yes to coming and staying with us this weekend, right? It's like all of these things that we say yes to, and the ability to, like your client that's going to move to Portugal, right? I mean, that's going to shift his identity in ginormous, profound, unprecedented ways, and who he will become, that next version of him, and who that shows up and what that person does in the world is profoundly different than what he can accomplish right now. Just like my clients who it's like, I'm leaving this firm and I'm going to start my own firm. Sure, it's scary, but I can see that I can accomplish this now. It's like the capacity
100%.
and the bandwidth that people have, and the amount of change. And I don't mean like we have to go change the world, but it's like the contribution. And I think that's the difference. Like we don't have to go and change things, but if we're contributing in powerful ways, it casts a natural like difference in the world that is really good.
It's creating an opportunity to say, I don't know what, I don't know how, but I'm gonna bet on me, and it's all gonna work itself out, right? And
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things that shifted for me, and I was telling Anthony, is there's something I won't do anymore. I've put my flag in the ground. I've planted it. It's very firm. I'm not selling jack crap anymore. I'm not selling me. I'm not selling any product. I'm not selling anything. If you like what you see and you want to show up to the party and you want to invest in yourself and you want to meet me halfway, come on the train.
Oh, so
If you
you're
don't,
Patagonia?
yeah, no, I'm just saying, like,
Yes.
I'm tired of like the cheap sell. I can't do it anymore. Like we're creating a movement. It's very, and here's the way we look at it. So there are people that are going to hop off the train, or there's companies that aren't going to sell to us, and that's a decision. Because yeah, we have a new track record, but once we've created a reputation and a momentum for ourselves 2-3 years down the road, it's going to be real hard for you to get on the train after it's already left the station. And this last year for me was, I would classify it very simply as a year of betrayal, deep betrayal from people that I spent time in their homes, people that I molded and gave hours of my time together for free. Got betrayed about 4 different people, lost tons of money, still owe me money, all that kind of stuff. And it really messed me up because I'm like, can I pour myself into humans again? Like, is this the game now where you're just gonna like use me, and then when you're done with me, you're gonna run away? And then I thought to myself, like, or it's teaching me lessons of saying that you need to listen to your gut more, and there's maybe some things that you don't need to like, you know, discount, right? But also saying in the same breath, saying, thank you for clearing out the path for this new path. And I think, that's what I think I love the most about my new partners, my new company, and what we're doing, because the pivot, in my opinion, is that's the only way to do business these days. Like the world is changing so quick, people are changing so quick, social media, AI. You have to have radical ownership and say, okay, this isn't working. Toss it to the side, and then keep treading down the thing is very hard for people to do, especially if they've had a level of success.
I love that. I love the whole element of listening to your intuition. That's something else that has been like a huge shift for me, especially over the last year and a half, is like in last year, specifically in 2022, I was very intentional about listening to my intuition, because I started realizing, wait, this has been right. My gut instinct, well, because I was invited into deals, and I passed on them because I couldn't put my finger on it. And then in July, I went into a deal and I started to, work on this deal, and I just couldn't sleep. And my whole thing is, if I'm not sleeping at night, something's off and I am leaving. I'd already launched a deal to my investor community, and I like the team. There was like, okay, this is a strong team. These are people I know. They pass all my criteria. I vetted them. I actually went to the property down in Dallas, Texas and such. And then I just couldn't sleep. So I withdrew from this offering. I called a few of my investors that wanted to invest in it and just said, hey, I just want you to know my company is actually withdrawing. I cannot tell you why, because I don't know why. I'm just not sleeping at night. The numbers are great. The people are great. I've been on I've walked it. It's great. I don't understand why, but I'm just going to trust this. Well, I find out like a month later, the deal fell through. I didn't know that. There was no writing on the wall that would have suggested that that deal was going to fall through in any capacity at all, but just that willingness. So that was really sent me over the edge on trusting my intuition. It's like, it's given to us, but most people think that it's going to misguide them. And when we can vet our intuition, I've been teaching my daughter this, like, listen to it and test it so that you understand when you can trust it. And the more you have developed that relationship with your intuition, where you kind of, maybe you trust it. Maybe I feel like having a mocha this morning, and I'm usually an Americano person. It sounds so stupid silly when we put it like that, but it's like, trust that little intuition in you and do the little different. And that builds that level of trust to where you're like, oh, wow, that really was better today. And you just start doing it in these little micro ways, and it builds that strength and that relationship with your intuition, so that when it comes to, I'm not sleeping at night and I don't understand why, but I'm going to trust this, you can say yes to trusting your intuition.
No, 100%. I will say, and I want to keep it on record, this is the most focused, centered, firm in what you're doing, locked in mentality I've ever seen of Mr. Julie Holly. So it's awesome to see.
It really is. And now I have investors where, we hop on to an investor discovery call. Maybe they've been listening to my podcast and such, and I'm hearing more often investors asking me as we're on that call, will you accept me as one of your investors? Like, to me, that means I'm on point with what my company is about. The conscious investor is very niched down and defined, and we have strong pillars, and people are resonating with that. And so when they see that and they see the integrity that is unlike anything, there are a lot of people that go around and say like, we have integrity and we're conservative investors and stuff, like, and I'm not going to say anything disparaging. So people say that, but they don't have the actions that prove it. And people are noticing like, oh, wait, you're actually doing this and you're saying this, and we want to be part of this. It's like, will you accept us? So it's super amazing.
So great. If people want to listen to the podcast, they want to find out how to be an investor, how would they do that?
Yeah, head over to, you can check out the Conscious Investor podcast on any and every listening platform or YouTube. So, and please leave an honest rating and review. Listen to a couple episodes. I have always the best guests, and mindset episodes are some of the favorite episodes that people, I noticed that. I'm like, wow, people love the mindset episodes, which is also super fun. And then, you know what, you can connect up with me. You send me an email, julie@julieholly.com. And I know I shouldn't give any more, but you can also check out our investments at 3keysinvestments.com, all spelled out, and investments and keys are both plural.
And you won't go wrong with putting your money with Joy. She's one of the best humans I know on the planet. So trust me, total vouch. So if you got some value from this episode, send it to a friend. We'll see you next time, guys.